Okay, Nora, can you see my screen?
Yes.
We stopped reading here, D, am I right? So let me read A, B, and C, and you can continue from D, all right? I want you to listen. So I think we finished with A. We did answers on A. We did vocabulary for B. C, I think we did, and from D we stopped. Am I right?
Yes, we read in E, but we don't learn it vocabulary.
Excellent. All right. Okay, so instead of me reading A, B, and C, oh no, let me read it. Okay. Moles happy, moles, oh, better yet, let me get this better.
64. Practice Test 3. Reading Passage 2. You should spend about 20 minutes on questions 13 to 26, which are based on reading passage 2 below. Moles happy as homes go underground. The first anybody knew about Dutchman Frank Siegmund and his family was when workmen tramping through a field found a narrow steel chimney protruding through the grass. Closer inspection revealed a chink of skylight window among the thistles, and when amazed investigators moved down the side of the hill, they came across a pine door complete with leaded diamond glass and a brass knocker set into an underground building. The Siegmunds had managed to live undetected for 6 years outside the border town of Breda, in Holland. They are the latest in a clutch of individualistic homemakers who have burrowed underground in search of tranquility. Most, falling foul of strict building regulations, have been forced to dismantle their individualistic homes and return to more conventional lifestyles. But subterranean suburbia, Dutch style, is about to become respectable and chic. 7 luxury homes cosseted away inside a high earth-covered noise embankment next to the main Tilburg City Road recently went on the market for $296,500 each. The foundations had yet to be dug, but customers queued up to buy the unusual part submerged houses, whose back wall consists of a grassy mound and whose front is a long glass gallery. See, the Dutch are not the only would-be moles. Growing numbers of Europeans are burrowing below ground to create houses, offices, discos, and shopping malls. It is already proving a way of life in extreme climates. In winter months in Montreal, Canada, for instance, citizens can escape the cold in an underground complex complete with shops and even health clinics. In Tokyo, builders are planning a massive underground city to be begun in the next decade, and underground shopping malls are already common in Japan, where 90% of the population is squeezed into 20% of the land space. Building big commercial buildings underground can be a way to avoid disfigurement.
All right, Nora. We're going to do the same drill, okay? I would like you to read paragraph D, and when we finish, please stop, and then we will do the vocabulary together.
Big commercial buildings underground can be a way to avoid disfiguring or threatening a beautiful or environmentally sensitive land space. Indeed, many of the buildings which consume most land, such as cinemas, supermarkets, theaters, warehouses, or libraries, have no need to be on their surface seen They do not need windows.
Right. Okay, continue reading. Read paragraph E. That was a bit short. Can you please read paragraph E?
There are big advantages too when it comes to freeway homes. A development of 194 houses, which would take up to 14 hectares of land above ground, would occupy 2.7 hectares below it, while the number of roads would be held under several meters of earth. Noise is minimal and isolation is excellent. We get 40 to 50 requires per quick, says Peter. Inquiries.
Inquiries. Very good.
Inquiries a week, says Peter Carpenter, Secretary of the British Earth Settling Association, which builds similar homes in Britain. People see this as a way of building for the future. In an underground villa himself, Carpenter has never paid a heating bill thanks to solar panels and natural insulation.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna highlight some of this. Okay, Nora, I'd like you to say the words with me, okay? Disfiguring. So I want you to say the words with me, okay? Disfiguring. Disfiguring. Environmentally.
Environmentally.
Landscape.
Landscape.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Cinema.
Cinema.
Several.
Several.
Minimal.
Minimal.
Inquiries.
Inquiries.
Carpenter.
Carpenter.
Dweller.
Dweller.
All right, Nora, I'll ask the question. Let's see if you can figure out the answer. Disfiguring. What do you think the meaning of disfiguring is?
Disfiguring is ruining the appearances of.
Well done.
Appearance.
Very good. Very good. Environmentally, what do you think the meaning of that is? Number two, environmentally.
Related to surrounding conditions or the health of the earth.
Number two, environmentally. Do you think it's A, B, C, D, or E?
A.
A. related to surrounding conditions or the health of the earth. Well done. Number 3, landscape. It's okay if you get it wrong. Don't worry.
Landscape is a wide need to see.
A. Correct. Well done. A wide view of a nature scene, wide area of beautiful land. Okay. Indeed. B. That's right. In fact. Well done. Cinema.
That's movies.
Movies. That is correct. Several.
More than 2, but not a lot.
Very good. Minimal.
Almost nothing. Or
Almost nothing or very little. Very good. Inquiries.
questions. Request for information.
Again, please. B, that's right. B, requests for information or questions. Okay. A carpenter, number 9, a carpenter. A. Again. B, a person who works with and builds with wood. Very good, that's correct. That is a carpenter. And number 10, dweller.
A.
A dweller. I'm going to go with E. A surprisingly realistic and maybe upsetting scene. I'm not too sure, but let us double check that, okay? Well, okay. A dweller is a resident, so you were right. Well done. I didn't think that. Okay. Very good. Nice for teacher mode to be wrong sometimes. Okay. Before we do that, let's have a look at the parts of speech. All right. Nouns. Okay, describing people, places, things, or objects. Okay, we have many nouns: building, buildings, underground, way. So a noun is describing a place, thing, or object, right? That is a noun. Okay, as you can see, there are many different nouns here, right? Now, Teacher Mo could give you this as homework for the future, but I don't want to. What I do recommend you do is, Nora, in Asia, China, Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, Myanmar, grammar is very big in schools, in colleges, and in university. Grammar is very big. What's nice for you to do is to be able to identify what is parts of speech. So when you look at a paragraph, right, Point out the nouns, point out the verbs, point out the adverbs and the pronouns. You don't have to point out every single thing, but it's nice to be able to point out certain things that relate to grammar and parts of speech, because it will help you understand things from a student's point of view. All right? And that will make you understand a word, its definition, and its origin. Okay, so the word dweller, like they used here, is a noun. It is describing a resident. Okay, and a resident is, like you say, someone who lives somewhere. You are a resident in your house. I am a resident in my house. Okay, it is describing what I'm doing. I live there. So it's always nice for you to know these kind of things. Okay, I don't want to give you too much work, but Teacher Mo is an English teacher. So I would like you to become aware of different parts of speeches, especially when you're reading. All right? Okay, let's have a look at the pronouns. Which, they, it, which, it, we, which, himself. Okay, pronouns. Okay, verbs. Threatening, avoid, disfiguring, consume, need, would, get, sheltering, hate, all verbs. All right. Adjective, big commercial, describing words, right? Big commercial, beautiful, sensitive, private, minimal, describing a feeling, a thing, a place, describing it basically. Is that adjective, right? Adverbs, environmentally, indeed, most, and never. Conjunctions, prepositions, articles, interjections, nothing. Okay? Anyway, let's go back to reading. Thank you. So, all right. Okay, Nora. Let's start reading from F.
Has been conservative local authority and developers who refer to intrinsic cells with conventional use housing. The Dutch development was pretty with this use relief by South Dutch because of things and it was the tubercular architect to put us with its on here on mangoes. His two floor, four bedroom, two bathroom detached homes are now taking shape. They are not so much below the earth. It says, all the light will come through the glass fronts, which runs from the second floor ceiling to the ground. Areas which do not need much natural lighting at the back. The living accommodation is to the front, so nobody noticed that the back is dark.
sorry, this paragraph, right? This paragraph basically explains what they try to do to let light come into this underground home, right? This underground home basically has no light coming through it. Okay? So what you need is to be able to understand what they are trying to say. So after you read, I will break down the paragraph to help you better understand what they actually are trying to say, okay? Right, let's move to our vocabulary. There were kind of big words here. All right, Nora, can you see my page? Yes, hi. Please repeat the words with me, right? Number one, are you ready? Yes, okay. Number one, obstacle. Number two, authorities. Number three, ensure. Number four, conventional. Number five, undisguised. Number six, chronic. Number seven, architect.
Architect.
Right. Number eight, embankments. Number nine, accommodation. And number 10, notices. Now, number one, obstacle, things that blocks or stops. Two, authorities, people who are in charge. Okay. Number three, ensure, to make sure of. Number four, conventional, ordinary. Undisguised, barefaced. So when something is undisguised, it's like it has no mask. Right? Chronic, long lasting. Architect, someone who designs and builds. Embankments, long man-made hills of dirt. Accommodation, change to help someone, change or to help someone or place to live and sleep. And the notices, written statements. Okay. So let's do a word bank quiz. Okay, let's try it. Let's try it. Okay. So in order, we got the words at the top, right? The 10 words at the top that I've highlighted. I'm going to ask you I'm going to say the definition, and you're going to tell me the word that goes along with the definition, okay? Cool. Right. Number one, things that block or stops. Obstacle, very good. People in charge. Secure or make sure of. Ensure. Ordinary.
Conventional.
Well done. Barefaced.
Let's say undisguised.
Undisguised. Well done. Long lasting.
Say chronic.
Chronic. Good. What do we call someone who is a designer?
Let's say architect.
Architect. Well done. Long man-made hills of dirt.
Accommodation.
Good. No, no, no. Long man-made hills of dirt. Number 8.
That's embankments.
Embankment. Well done. Okay. Number 9. Somewhere where a place, change or place to live and sleep.
Let's say accommodation.
And written statements. Number 10, written statements.
Notice.
Notices. Okay. All right, let's move on to G. Please start reading.
US, where energy efficient homes became popular after the oil crisis of 1973. 10,000 underground houses have been built. A terrace of 5 homes, Britain's first subterranean development, is underway in Nottinghamshire, Italy's outstanding example of suburban architecture is the Liberty Residential Centre in Uvry, commissioned by
I'm so sorry. Please stop. Right. I'd like you to say a word with me, okay? Subterranean.
subterranean
Architecture.
architecture,
Residential. Residential.
residential,
And commissioned.
commissioned
Right. Please excuse me, you can carry on now.
by commissioned by Roberto Olivetti in 1969. It comprised 82 one-bedroom apartments and 12 maisonettes
That's very good.
and forms a hotel for Liberty employees. It is built onto a hill and little can be seen from outside except a glass facade. Pasir Valachi, a resident since 1982, says it's a little different from living in a conventional apartment.
Done. Thank you, Nora. Okay, so in the US, where energy efficient homes became a problem with the oil crisis, Materials 500 substrate pollution. Okay, so what they basically meant in that paragraph is that there was a bit of a crisis at a certain time in 1973 where they had no choice but to revert or to go underground. And 10,000 underground houses were built because of that crisis. Right? When they say energy efficient homes, like solar panel and houses that are built not to take so much power, okay, not a lot of electricity, not a lot of heat, just enough to survive, okay? So basically, they describe and they use an example from 1973 to solidify and to say that the concept works. So building a house underground can work. And when people are not sure, they use an example from the past. And that's what they did in that paragraph, okay? Right? I'm not going to stop. I want you to read H and I, and we will do the vocabulary and a quiz for all of them, and then move on to the next section.
Not everybody adapts so well, and in Japan, scientists at the Shimizu Corporation have developed space creation systems which mix light, sounds, breeze, and sense to stimulate people who spend long periods below ground. Offices in Japan are being equipped with virtual windows and mirrors, while underground apartments in the University of Minnesota have periscopes to reflect views and light.
Stop. Please repeat these words with me. Cooperation. Cooperation.
Cooperation.
Developed.
Developed.
Stimulate.
Stimulate.
Equipped. Departments. Periscopes. Thank you. Okay, please continue.
But Frank Simon and his family loved their office lifestyle. Their home evolved when his dog grew for his factory business in the hill he had created. During a heat wave he took to sleep there. We felt at peace and so close to nature, he says. Gradually, I began adding to the rooms. It sounds strange, but we are so close to the earth. We draw strength from its vibrations. Our children love it. Not every child can boast of being watched through their playroom windows by robotics.
Okay. So, not everyone adapts so well. Space creation systems which mix light, sound, breezes, and sense to stimulate people who spend long periods of time on the ground. Virtual mirrors. So what they're saying is, Nora, is that it's very difficult for people to get accustomed to it. So it's like we live above ground, right? And when people go underground, basically they're trying to say that it's not easy to get used to. And not many people can. But the Sigmunds love the fact that when they wake up in the morning, their child can look at a rabbit running on the roof, and not many people can see that. So some love it, and some is very difficult. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. Let's try it this way, okay? Can you still hear me? I'm sorry, it's raining so hard outside. Oh my gosh. It's a very, very, very big storm in Thailand. Very big. Operation. Okay. Developed. Developed is an adjective. Okay. Being changed over time so as to be. So, example, stronger or more complete or more useful. Let's choose another word. Tell me a word that you didn't understand. Which word that you didn't understand? Yeah. Prepared? No.
Better do something,
Again, please.
something in
One more time.
let's do something before.
To be prepared is to do something before. Okay. All right, let's look at periscopes. What is periscope? Okay. Periscope. Okay, a way of living would be a lifestyle. So that's a way of living, okay? Evolve would be changed. So when someone evolves, they change into something better or they change into something worse. So they say they changed and got better. There's two ways that you can use change, and you can use it as evolved. All right. Heat wave, sleeping, peace, slowly, vibrations. A vibration is a noun, the act of vibrating, right? Quivering, vibration, a regular periodic variation in value about a mean. That's scientific. So when something vibrates, it's like whoa, 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 like a vibration, okay? That is a vibration. Okay. Right. This, hey, Nora, so you sent me your answers, so let me have a look here. This one first. Right, more than happy. Right. List of headings. A designer describes his house. If okay, in Europe, the obstacle has been conservative local authorities and developers to ensure sales. I don't know. These two pro two big ones. Now take the share for it, so yes, okay, number one, if that is correct. Okay, because he described his houses here. These 2-floor, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom detached homes are now taking shape. So we are basically looking for describing a place or an apartment, which he did in paragraph F. So well done, right? All right. Most people prefer conventional housing. I see you didn't write an answer. Okay. Number 2, you didn't give an answer. Most people prefer conventional housing. So what is the meaning of conventional? Ordinary,
Original.
right? Conventional, ordinary.
Basic.
Basic, yes. Basic, ordinary, simple, conventional, okay? All right, so let's see where we can find the word conventional. I see conventional in paragraph G. So, Patanzia Villeci, a resident since 1992, says it is a little different from living in a conventional apartment. Okay, so that would be a very close distinction to describing that conventional living and simple living is not something that everyone wants to give up. So I'm going to go with G because in paragraph G, there was an oil crisis and that forced people underground. Okay, 10,000 underground houses have been built. A terrace of 5 homes, Britain's new first subterranean development, which was commissioned. If you look at paragraph H, not everyone adapts so well in Japan, scientists say. Okay, it could be G or it could be H, but I'm going to go with G. All right, paragraph G. All right, number 3, simulating a natural environment. You went with H, that is correct. Why? Because Japan are being equipped with virtual windows and mirrors and periscopes to reflect views and light. So it is all virtual reality. So H is correct. How an underground family home developed. Okay, the development of it. I'm going to go with paragraph A. The first anybody knew about Dutchman Frank Sigmund and his family was when workmen tramping through a field found a narrow steel chimney protruding through the grass. Close inspection revealed a chink of skylight window above the pistons, and when amazed, investigators moved down the side of the hill, they came across a pine door complete with leaded diamond glass across knocker set into the underground building. Sigmund had managed to live undetected for 6 years outside the border town of Breda in Holland. So the development of the house, the best definition for it would be paragraph A. All right, paragraph A. Demands on space and energy are reduced. And both park and 7 meters of earth. Noise is minimal, insulation is excellent. Many inquiries. Assembly homes and facilities. For the future, carpenter has never paid heating bill thanks to solar panels. So yes, demands on space and energy reduced. I think E is a bit well done, Nora. You did good. Hey, the plans for future homes. I don't think it was I. Plans for future homes was, I think, personally. I think it would be if in Europe the obstacle has been conservative local authorities and developers who prefer to ensure quick sales of conventional mass-produced housing. But the Dutch development was created with undersized relief by South Limburg Flanders because of Holland's chronic shortage of land. Yeah, if I think they're describing what they're doing there, they're describing future plans, right? F and G both describe future plans, the plans for future homes. Okay. Let's see. Worldwide examples of underground living and accommodation. G. Mhm. Yep, definitely was G. Worldwide though, did they use Japan there? Okay. G would be a good example because Robert Olivetti in 1969 had 82 one-bedroom apartments and 12 masonites and forms of houses hotels for Olivetti employees. So that is an example of worldwide examples of living. Some buildings do not require natural light. D. Yep, G is correct. D is correct. Well done. Developing underground services around the world. Yep, C is correct. Underground living improves health. Um, all right, teacher Mo will have a look at this. Let's not waste any more time on it. I think we have already. Well done, Nora. You completed the assignment, which is good. I want us to move on to the next section. We have 30 minutes left. 5 to be exact. So teacher Mo will look at those questions. All right, so we did a reading exercise, which is very good. Let's choose something. Workaholic economy. Yes, no. Okay. 35 minutes, you still have time, right? Correct? Cool. Lovely. Okay, reading passage 3, workaholic economy with questions. Okay, Nora, this is going to be your assignment for this week, okay? So what we will do now, we will go through the vocabulary like how we've been doing and answer questions. And then you can do the homework by answering the list of questions that I'll provide for you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. This will be the first paragraph. This will be the second paragraph, and this will be the third paragraph. I would like you to read up till the second paragraph, and we're going to stop, and then we'll work on vocabulary from there. Okay.
Yes. For the first century of the Industrial Revolution, increased productivity led to decreases in working hours. Employees who had been putting in 12-hour days, 6 days a week, found their time in the jobs shrinking to 10 hours daily, then family to 8 hours, 5 days a week. Only a generation ago, social planners worried about what people would do with all this newfound free time. In the US, at least, it seems they need not have bothered. Although the output per hour of work more than doubled since 1945. Leisure seems reserved largely for the unemployed and underemployed. Those who work full-time spend as much time on the job as they did at the end of World War II. In fact, working hours have increased noticeable since 1970, perhaps because railways have stagnated since that year. Bookstores now abound with manuals describing how to manage time and cope with stress. Continue.
Sorry. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Says Teacher Mo is being silly. My apology. Okay, Nora. And do the same thing. Gonna go through the vocabulary. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Right. For the first century or so, the Industrial Revolution increased. Okay, what is the meaning of increased?
Does it well?
To see it grow. Okay, it's an adjective. Made greater in size or amount or degree. Okay, working well and getting a lot done led to decreases. So, what is decreases? There's no such word. Okay, but to decrease means to go down. To increase means to go up. Okay, so decrease would be the opposite. In working hours, workers who had been putting in 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, found their time on the job shrinking. What is the meaning of shrinking? Shrinking, a noun. The act of becoming less, right? Shrinking. So it comes shrinking, it's smaller and smaller and smaller. to 10 hours daily, then finally to 8 hours, 5 days a week. Only a generation ago, now multiplication, the act of producing offspring or multiplying by subtraction. Reduction of heat, no, coming into being. Okay. In this situation, it is a generation coming into being. Right? Only a generation ago, social planners worried about what people would do with all this newfound free time. In the US, at least, it seems they need not have bothered. Although the output per hour of work has more than doubled since 1945, leisure seems reserved mostly or largely for the unemployed and underemployed, people working in low-paying jobs. Those who work full-time spend as much time on the job as they did at the end of the World War II. In fact, working hours have increased noticeably, so in an obvious way since 1970. Maybe because real wages have been bad, stagnated, okay? Stagnate to not move. Since that year, bookstores now have a lot of manuals describing how to manage time successfully. Okay. Okay, please say those 10 words for me. Yeah, you can start from number 1. Just say the words. Don't say the meanings, just the words.
Yes. For productivity, employees, leisure, largely underemployed, noticeably, perhaps stagnated,
Stagnated.
about with, cope with,
Cope.
cope.
Very good. Well done, okay. Okay, let's continue. Please continue reading.
There are some reasons for lost leisure. Since 1979, companies have responded by improvements in the business climate by having employees work overtime rather than by hiring extra personnel, says economist Giuseppe Score of Harvard University. Indeed, the current economic recovery has gained a certain amount of notoriety for its jobless nature. Increased production has been almost entirely decoupled from employment. Some firms are even downsizing as their profits climb. All things being equal, would it be better off spreading around the work? Observe labor economist Ronald G.
Edinburgh. Edinburgh.
Edinburgh of Cornell University.
Stop. Right, there are several reasons for lost leisure since 1979. I mean, jobless nature, increased production, and homelessness. Okay, so this paragraph, what they're trying to say is the only reason why people were stopping working 12 hours a day is because companies were looking to cut hours, take away people, and increase their profits, increase their money. So that is what they mean. Okay. Okay. Please continue.
Yet, lots of factors forces employers to hire fewer workers for more hours at the same time, compels workers to spend more time on the job. Most of those incentives involve what E. Rainbow calls
The structure. The structure.
called the structure of compensation.
Works.
Quotes quotes in a way salaries and benefits are organized that make it more profitable to ask 40 employees to labor an extra hour each than to hire one more worker to do the same 40-hour job.
Okay, so stop. So that is what they mean. Okay, so they want lesser people to work so they can increase their hours, pay them more, okay, and have less employees. So less employees, but more work. That is what they started with, okay? Right. Please continue from here.
Professional and managerial employees supply the most obvious selection along these lines. Once people on salary that cost to a firm is the same whether they spend 35 hours a week in the office or 70. Diminishing returns may eventually set in as overworked employees lose efficiency only for more able pastors. But in the short run, the employer's incentive is clear.
Please stop. Nora, your reading is getting better, but what I notice is that when you read for a long time, your vocabulary starts to change. So that's not a problem. That's okay. All right. It's only normal. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the voice recording, right? And while it is playing, listen to how the woman pronounces the words. Maybe that is gonna help you to be able to speak better. Let's not forget we have time. Okay, the most important thing is that you should be able to speak clearer and better and pronounce your words with more efficiency. That is the long-term goal. All right? So I would like to play it and you would be able to listen. Okay?
Practice test 3. Reading passage 3. You should spend about 20 minutes on questions 27 to 38, which are based on reading passage 3 below. A workaholic economy. Increased production has been almost entirely decoupled from employment. Some firms are even downsizing as their profits climb. All things being equal, we'd be better off spreading around the work, observes labor economist Ronald G. Ehrenberg of Cornell University. Yet a host of factors pushes employers to hire fewer workers for more hours and, at the same time, compels workers to spend more time on the job. Most of those incentives involve what Ehrenberg calls the structure of compensation, quirks in the way salaries and benefits are organized that make it more profitable to ask 40 employees to labor an extra hour each than to hire one more worker to do the same 40-hour job. Professional and managerial employees supply the most obvious lesson along these lines. Once people are on salary, their cost to a firm is the same whether they spend 35 hours a week in the office or 70. Diminishing returns may eventually set in as overworked employees lose efficiency or leave for more arable pastures. But in the short run, the employer's incentive is clear. Even hourly employees receive benefits such as pension contributions and medical insurance that are not tied to the number of hours they work. Therefore, it is more. For the first century or so of the Industrial Revolution, increased productivity led to decreases in working. Writing. Profitable for employers to work their existing employees harder. For all that employees complain about long hours, they, too, have reasons not to trade money for leisure. People who work reduced hours pay a huge penalty in career terms, Shore maintains. It's taken as a negative signal about their commitment to the firm. Lateye Balin, of Massachusetts Institute of Technology, adds that many corporate managers find it difficult to measure the contribution of their underlings to a firm's well-being, so they use the number of hours worked as a proxy for output. Employees know this, she says, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. Although the image of the good worker is the one whose life belongs to the company, Balin says, it doesn't fit the facts. She cites both quantitative and qualitative studies that show increased productivity for part-time workers. They make better use of the time they have, and they are less likely to succumb to fatigue in stressful jobs. Companies that employ more workers for less time also gain from the resulting redundancy, she asserts. The extra people can cover the contingencies that you know are going to happen, such as when crises take people away from the workplace. Positive experiences with reduced hours have begun to change the more is better culture at some companies, Shore reports. Larger firms, in particular, appear to be more willing to experiment with flexible working arrangements. It may take even more than changes in the financial and cultural structures of employment for workers successfully to trade increased productivity and money for leisure time, Shore contends. She says the U.S. market for goods has become skewed by the assumption of full-time, two-career households. Automobile makers no longer manufacture cheap models, and developers do not build the tiny bungalows that served the first post-war generation of home buyers. Not even the humblest household object is made without a microprocessor. As Shore notes, the situation is a curious inversion of the appropriate technology vision that designers have had for developing countries. U.S. goods are appropriate only for high incomes and long hours. Paul Walu.
Did you understand that? Did you understand that? Great. What I would like, I'm going to play it again. I want you to listen, but I'm going to play it slower this time. Okay. And I'm going to give you a list of vocabulary words after this. So let's listen one more time, okay?
Practice test 3. Reading passage 3. You should spend about 20 minutes on questions 27 to 38, which are based on reading passage 3 below. A workaholic economy. Increased production has been almost entirely decoupled from employment. Some 68. Practice Test 3. Reading Passage 3. You should spend about 20 minutes on questions 27 to 38, which are based on reading passage 3 below. A workaholic economy. Increased production has been almost entirely decoupled. Yet a host of factors. Complete the sentences below with words taken. 68. Practice Test 3. Reading Passage 3. You should spend about 20 minutes on questions 27 to 38, which are based on reading passage 3 below. A workaholic economy. Increased. Yet a host of professional, even our. For the first century or so of the Industrial Revolution, increased productivity led to decreases in working hours. Employees who had been putting in 12-hour days, 6 days a week, found their time on the job shrinking to 10 hours daily, then, finally, to 8 hours, 5 days a week. Only a generation ago social planners worried about what people would do with all this newfound free time. In the US, at least, it seems they need not have bothered. Although the output per hour of work has more than doubled since 1945, leisure seems reserved largely for the unemployed and underemployed. Those who work full-time spend as much time on the job as they did at the end of World War II. In fact, working hours have increased noticeably since 1970, perhaps because real wages have stagnated since that year. Bookstores now abound with manuals describing how to manage time and cope with stress. There are several reasons for lost leisure. Since 1979, companies have responded to improvements in the business climate by having employees work overtime rather than by hiring extra personnel, says economist Juliette B. Shore of Harvard University. Indeed, the current economic recovery has gained a certain amount of notoriety for its jobless nature. Reprinted with permission. Copyright 1994 by Scientific American Incorporated. All rights reserved. 69. Writing. Profitable for employers. Employers to work their existing employees harder. For all that employees complain about long hours, they, too, have reasons not to trade money for leisure. People who work reduced hours pay a huge penalty in career terms, Shore maintains. It's taken as a negative signal about their commitment to the firm. Lateye Balin, of Massachusetts Institute of Technology, adds that many corporate managers find it difficult to measure the contribution of their underlings to a firm's well-being, so they use the number of hours worked as a proxy for output. Employees know this, she says, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. Although the image of the good worker is the one whose life belongs to the company, Balin says, it doesn't fit the facts. She cites both quantitative and qualitative studies that show increased productivity for part-time workers. They make better use of the time they have, and they are less likely to succumb to fatigue in stressful jobs. Companies that employ more workers for less time also gain from the resulting redundancy, she asserts. The extra people can cover the contingencies that you know are going to happen, such as when crises take people away from the workplace. Positive experiences with reduced hours have begun to change the more is better culture at some companies, Shore reports. Larger firms, in particular, appear to be more willing to experiment with flexible working arrangements. It may take even more than changes in the financial and cultural structures of employment for workers successfully to trade increased productivity and money for leisure time, Shore contends. She says the U.S. market for goods has become skewed by the assumption of full-time, two-career households. Automobile makers no longer manufacture cheap models, and developers do not build the tiny bungalows that served the first post-war generation of home buyers. Not even the humblest household object is made without a microprocessor. As Shore notes, the situation is a curious inversion of the appropriate technology vision that designers have had for developing countries. U.S. goods are appropriate only for high incomes and long hours.
Okay, Nora. Oh, thank you for coming to my class today. It's always nice learning a new section with you, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a snapshot of this, right? And then do that first. Workaholic economy. Okay, so basically what they're trying to say to us is that times have really changed. And when you get to work, you have to work more hours for less pay. And that is what's going to happen in the world. The more hours you work doesn't really matter to a company anymore. What matters is that you just do all the work and you probably won't get paid very well. And that is what they basically are describing in that article. Right? So I'm going to send you on Zalo, send you okay, send you the paragraph. Send you a list of questions. And then that's your list of questions, right? You complete that. So, Nora, don't forget, right? The most important thing is reading, understanding, and answering questions. That is basically what they want you to accomplish. They want you to be able to read something, understand what you are reading, and then answer the questions based on the passage. So they're not testing you on your speech, they're testing you on your ability to understand. So your ability to understand is only based on your reading skills. Right? That is the only thing. So what I'm going to do is the same as before. We will go through what you can finish tomorrow, right? By tomorrow. Okay. Okay, that work will be for tomorrow, Nora, and then we will do a vocabulary check tomorrow to understand the words a little bit better, okay? All right. Thank you for joining my class today. Nice having you and have a good night. I'll see you again tomorrow.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.